Good morning, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandot Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Guess we'll wait for Madhupati to come back. I could start. Who controls the screen? Is that Madhupati or is that someone else?
It's Madhuri Prabhu.
Okay. Is Madhuri here?
Madhupati Prabhu is controlling this.
It's Madhupati. Okay. Okay, well, we can just start with some invocation, of course. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Picharine Nirvasesha Srinivadi Pastachari Zitarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Gyanatramyandasya Janan Anjana Shalakaya Chakshu Manitamyena Tasme Shri Gurave Maha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Svapadantikam Vanchakalpaturvishta Kripa Sindhivya Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okay, so we're reading today from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 26, Fundamental Principles of Material Nature, Text 36. So maybe, I don't know, Madhupati, how do you do it? Because it's such short time. Should I just chant it, or do you have other people recite it? What do you do?
No, we just chant. We don't. Others do not have to recite. Just chant and then go with
Okay,
synonyms and translation.
great. Mridutvam katinatvam cha shacham ushnatvam evacha etat sparshasya sparshatvam tanmatratvam nabhaspataha. Let's go to the translation. Softness and hardness and cold and heat are the distinguishing attributes of touch, which is characterized as the subtle form of air. We can see that just in our ordinary life, right? You touch some things, they have a quality of softness, some things quality of hardness, some things cold, some things hot, and everything in between. Those are the distinguishing attributes of touch, which are characterized as a subtle form of air. There's a very short purport. We can read the purport. Tangibility is the proof of form. In actuality, objects are perceived in two different ways. They are either soft or hard, cold or hot, etc. This tangible action of the tactile sense is a result of the evolution of air, which is produced from the sky. Just a quick comment on just the practicality of this. We experience form through tangibility. Like these days, there's so many different types of forms that are presented to us on video screens and things like that, where form is projected, but the actual experience of form is perceived through touch. So as it's described here, because we're in the material world, the world of duality, so some things are soft, some things are hard, some things are cold, some things are hot, etc. Om Gyanatramyandasya Janan Anjana Shalakaya Chakshu Umritamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Ma Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Picharine Nirvasesha Srinivadi Pastachari. So as you know, you've all been reading this chapter. This is text 36. It's some very technical things. Probably some of the nuclear scientists among you have been giving class. Some of the astrophysicists have been probably giving class, giving some quite detailed analysis of these verses and the nature of, as it describes, fundamental principles of material nature and some of the technicalities thereof. For myself, I'll reflect a little bit more, kind of stepping back because it's a little too technical for my particular training, but to make some observations about what we're reading here. So we understand in the Vedanta Sutra, the first shlok or aphorism of Atato Brahma Jignasa. Having acquired the human form of life, it's time to inquire into the absolute truth. Now, most people, they don't have any time to inquire. They're very busy. They have inquiries, just like today's what, the 21st of December. So there are many people, a lot of people, maybe most people in this country, they're waking up and their first inquiry is, where am I going to get those last couple gifts? I got something for mom, I got dad, I got the kids. What about aunt so-and-so? Oh my God, I forgot so-and-so. Geez, at the office, they gave me a present. I've got to go find them a present, blah, blah, blah. Did I spend too much money on this one? Not enough money on that one. Oh my goodness, etc. That's what they're all thinking about this morning. And some people are thinking, hurry up and pack, and we've got to get to the airplane, and what's the best way to go? And are the flights okay? What's the weather going to be like? Is it going to rain as much there as it did last year when we went to have a good time and we got rained out? It was going to be better. It said these are what their inquiries are about. Most people, where and it oftentimes it boils down to different manifestations of where a shelter, and that becomes more elaborate, but they're looking for shelter. People are spending lots and lots of money on security systems these days. People are studying cybersecurity. I've been meeting so many people. They're young people. They're majoring in cybersecurity, and it's a pretty fast-moving, difficult field because for every one person trying to figure out how to secure the cyber world, there's at least one, maybe two, trying to figure out how to break it down. So it's this ongoing struggle that's there. So shelter, food security is a huge issue. We may think, well, most people don't worry so much about food. You just go to the grocery store. But we all know as soon as there's rain, excessive rain, and there's floods in so many parts of our country around the world, there's excessive floods. When there's a big snowstorm, when there's some other crisis, everybody runs to the grocery store and tries to buy, it becomes a bit of a panic. It's like, we know, like they have stock exchange panics. Every once in a while, there's some kind of panic, like in the crash of 1929, October 1929. All of a sudden, everybody gets scared and they try to cash in and sell their stocks, and the whole system collapses. It's happened in the past. Or again, there's a big snowstorm, everybody runs to the grocery store and they're fighting. Who's going to get the last roll of toilet paper, right? In COVID time, it was like jokes, I remember I saw like a birthday card joke one time, and someone, it was like, happy birthday. And then inside was a man giving his son, I think, giving his father some toilet paper. And he was like, oh, what I've always wanted, right? Because you couldn't buy toilet paper. So people's inquiries are so much focused on these things: shelter, food, sleep, become a little more sophisticated, of course, whereas money, because money can buy me all these things. Some people, whereas power, all these different questions. How do I find this? What's the latest fashion? What are the beautiful people of the world doing, right? Everybody wants to know Prince, what is it, Harry, right? What's happening with Prince Harry? Oh, they were tapping Prince Harry's phone. Oh my gosh, that's a big thing. How can that happen? And they go to the work, and did you hear what happened with Prince Harry, et cetera, et cetera. So our mind, and of course, Facebook and all the social media, right? You gotta flip through, right? I've got my 1,000 friends. What are they all doing today? So in this way, based on this first false premise, which is, I'm thinking I'm this body. I am a person of the 21st century. I was born in such and such a place. I was born in such and such a time. I have certain desires. I like a certain type of music, and therefore I gravitate to those kind of people. They become my friends. Why? Because my ear dictated it, really. I like a certain type of music. I like people that like that kind of music. They become my friends. I like a certain type of entertainment. You know, like myself personally, I don't like horror things. When I was a child and young, whatever, I don't like, you know, they have these movies that even like my grandkids, you know, I hear that they're like, you know, I don't even ask them because I don't like them. You know, the text, I don't know if they like this kind, but some people like to go and they pay money for like that. I remember this one name, the Texas Chainsaw something, some guy cutting up people with chainsaws. What kind of weird consciousness is that? But they think that's entertaining. Why is it entertaining? Because they're identifying with the body. You know, some people like to go see Frozen. Okay, and we'll put aside the need sometimes for kids to have certain experiences, whatever. But just in general, why is one person attracted to Frozen, some Disney picture or the Little Mermaid, and someone else wants to go see the Texas Chainsaw, whatever? Why is that? Why is that? People don't ask those kind of questions. Why does somebody want to live downtown New York City in a brownstone where you walk out the door and there's 1,000 people? Somebody else wants to live in the country and there's no people. There's just trees and there's lake. Why? Why is that? And why do I like to live in the city? How many of us have a memory of going to a store and saying, I'd like to buy the kind of consciousness where I like to live in the country and I'd like to have this kind of consciousness. And I think I'd like to be, you know, give me this type of body, born this. We never made those choices. We're thrust into a certain situation. And as described, Tato Brahma Jignasa, human form life is meant to inquire about why am I in a particular place, etc. But instead, most people, they accept the body as a self. They accept the desires that come from the body and from the mind. Some people like to touch cold things. We're reading about sense of touch. We all probably have one or two friends, when it gets this time of year, they're waiting for the snow to fall. They love it. As soon as it's cold, they feel comfortable. Others of us, you put on, you know, 15 layers of clothes, 3 hats, 2 scarves, and you run and you hope you can heat up the car in the garage because you can't stand the cold and you just wish you could go south, and you tolerate winter. Somebody else, and then summer comes and you're crying. Why? Because based on the body and everything in relationship with the body. So these sections of the Bhagavatam, sometimes we may think, you know, what is the purpose of all these details? And we may not, I certainly can't comprehend all of the things that's being described here, how the air evolves into this and this evolves into that. The details are beyond me to understand completely, but we understand that in the principle, just like this is the fundamental principles of material nature. By hearing this and understanding this, we gain a significant amount of knowledge, even if we don't comprehend all of it. And it describes in the Bhagavad Gita that knowledge is the most important thing in this world. It's the most valuable thing. But generally, people think knowledge is of what's described in the Gita as the field of activity. So knowledge of how the material nature interacts, knowledge of how to, you know, build a better car, knowledge of how to build a better computer, knowledge of how to make money so that I can buy things that I need, etc. That type of knowledge is helpful. We have this body. We need to take care of the body. Described, you know, read last night, you know, moderate in eating, sleeping, working, recreation. Those certainly are important things. We can't ignore those things, especially for those that are dependent upon us. But we don't want to be bewildered into thinking that's the all in all. And these verses are a wake-up call. Because when we read this, when you hear about the sense of touch, heat and cold, etc., when you hear about how the material world is manifested, when you hear about things are created, it evokes deeper thoughts. One starts thinking, well, this sounds maybe even more complex than I understood it was. You know, for most people, complexity is, how do we get from here to work and home? How do I help my wife be a little happier? How do I help my kids be a little happier? Maybe at this time of year, especially people thinking, let me give charity. Let me, you know, donate some toys at the bank for kids that don't have much. Those are all nice things. Those are all important things, but they're not sufficient. Just like there's different sources of pleasure for all of us in this world. We want to be free from freezing cold. I'm in a Namroop's home, is a nice house, and nice shower today, a nice roof, and comfortable place to sleep. Those are important things, but even we do all those things, it's insufficient. And these Bhagavatam verses are meant to help us understand why it's insufficient and help us understand the world is so complex and it's not necessarily what it appears to be. Because according to our level of consciousness, as I can describe, a lusty man sees beautiful women everywhere. A person who's too engrossed in the material opulences, they drive down the street. I've been with people. They drive down the street and they'll tell you, this building's worth so much and this person invested in this real estate deal and they made this much money. That's what they see. Somebody else is walking down the street, they're thinking, oh, look at that beautiful Labrador retriever. Isn't that a beautiful dog? Oh, there goes a little one. Oh, there goes to this. Someone else is walking down the street and they're thinking, oh, that's a designer coat she's wearing. She must have bought that at such and such store because you can't get this anywhere but there. Someone else is thinking, oh, look at that toy that little kid has. I wish I had that toy. So we're perceiving the world in many different ways according to our desires and according to the consciousness that we've acquired from our previous life, from this life. These insights given in the Bhagavatam are meant to help us kind of step back and think, well, actually the world is more than just hot and cold. Maybe we like soft things. Maybe we like hard things. Maybe we like certain kinds of smell, as it describes, certain types of taste. Why? Because it's the interaction of the material elements. And then we're asked, well, if the world is not what it appears to be, what is it? And why am I stuck here? How did I get here in the first place? And then what's my part to play? If I'm thinking, well, my part to play is I'm the maintainer of my family. Okay, very good. But within 20, 25 years, the family's maintaining itself. They don't need you anymore. And the Bhagavatam describes some places how the elderly person just becomes a burden for the next generation. Now, in spiritual consciousness, more mode of goodness, that doesn't happen. But just the idea, I'm the maintainer. Well, I'm the maintainer now for a few years for my kids, for my wife, for my husband. I'm the maintainer. How long does that last? Who am I? Well, I'm young and strong. Well, no, you're not. You're young today. You're strong today, but you're not going to be young and strong forever, etc. So all of these thoughts, just like yoga, we see yoga is so popular these days. Hatha yoga, Ashtanga yoga, and where the sitting postures are. And it's good for health and all of those things. Those are nice side effects. But beneath all of that, and what some yoga teachers teach, but not very many, when people are doing these poses, when they're meditating, that's meant to help stimulate. I'm sitting doing this pose. I'm watching myself in this pose. I'm watching the thoughts come and go. Well, who's watching? Who is it that's watching the thoughts? Who is it that's sitting doing I don't know any yoga poses. I forget them. But who's doing these poses? Who's doing the stretches? Well, that's me. But whatever that is, I can see there's a difference between me and this thing doing the pose. I'm watching the body. I'm watching the thoughts. Well, who is the I? And does the I perhaps have needs different than the body and the mind? Is that perhaps why when I pursue those things I think I need, I chase those things, I work hard to buy those things? I mean, it's interesting. The mundane, the kind of theory that's propagated, we all know, we kind of watch it. Some of us, maybe we observe a little bit of Christmas season, maybe we exchange some gifts with family and friends and all that. That's nice. And we know, you turn on the radio, 'tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la, right? We've all heard the song. That's nice. It's nice to have a jolly season. We want to see people happy. But then you hear in the news, right? You listen, there's the music, fa la 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 la, and then the news comes on. The what's it called? The head doctor in the country has just released a new report that actually the holiday season, the rates of domestic violence go up, the rates of depression go up, loneliness goes up, which they've already established as an epidemic in the United States and other places. Loneliness is an epidemic, and depression, and I think even suicides go up. So that's a disconnect. There's something wrong. This is the season to be jolly, but everybody's unhappy. Partly because they're told it's the season to be jolly, but they're not feeling jolly, so they get less jolly. So devotees, our philosophy is, yeah, it's the season to be jolly, but you have to know where to go to be jolly. We have to know what to do to be jolly. We have to understand how to direct the mind to be jolly. And so these verses, this knowledge is there to help us detach from the material world. Just like, let's say you go and you're gonna buy a house someplace, and you think, I love this house. It's a beautiful house. It's just what we've always wanted. It's got a nice yard. It's the good size. Everything's very good. And then you find out actually the house is built on a bad foundation and it's sinking. You do a little research before you you realize, whoa, the foundation's not good. It looks great, but the foundation's not good. Or you go to buy a house, everything looks good, but you find out on this side of the street, all the kids go to that school. That's not a very good school. I don't want my kids going to that school. Or everything looks very nice at a certain time of day. And then you come back to check out the house at rush hour, and you realize that there's 100,000 cars an hour are going to drive down the street right next to your nice, beautiful little backyard, and it's going to be not at all what you thought it was. So as soon as that knowledge comes in, I don't want that house, isn't it? Through that knowledge, you can detect. But does that mean you don't find a house? Does that mean you be frustrated and you say, oh, there's no houses, let me just go lay in the street? You say there's no good schools, let me just forget it. My kids, they can just run around in the woods and, never be educated. No, you find the better place through knowledge. So in the same way as devotees, as human beings, we're meant to be stimulated by the knowledge, by our intelligence, by hearing from authorities, even by our own experience. You buy the house once that you thought you loved, and it turns out to be not so good. Next time around, you learn a little better to ask a few more questions, etc. So, therefore, it's described, Tato Brahma Jignasa. It's time to inquire. So we have this inquiring nature. We have this intelligence. We have the ability to be analytical. We should be analytical. We should be. Prabhupada sometimes described himself as, what do you say, that he was like, I don't know if he used the exact term they use in America, streetwise. Prabhupada said, I'm an old Calcutta boy. So he knew how to, live in the world. He was very wise. If you read Prabhupada, Prabhupada was very good about negotiating contracts. Prabhupada just understood how to live in this world. So we should use our intelligence to be smart and not naive and be taken advantage of in the mundane sense. But in the higher sense, we have to be even more careful. We're not taking advantage of that. We waste our lives pursuing things that ultimately can't satisfy us, and ultimately are distractions from the real purpose of life, which is to, as it described, live happily in this world through our Krishna consciousness, through our detachment, through our taking shelter of Krishna, and centering our lives on Krishna. So this is the whole process of bhakti, that we go to work, but we remember Krishna. We get on the subway, but we remember Krishna. We deal with the office politics, but we remember Krishna. We sometimes have disease, we get sick, and we remember Krishna. Oh, geez, I'm sick today. Just see, this material body is not a very nice place. Let me get well as best I can so that I can take care of my ordinary duties, and I can use my time for awakening my love for Krishna. And in that way, you make some money, it's like, thank you very much, Krishna. You lose some money, okay, geez, Krishna, this material was a difficult place. You feel healthy, thank you, Krishna. You get disease one day, okay, geez, Krishna's showing this material was not such a nice place. And through knowledge, the ups and downs, the tribulations, the joys, and the sufferings of this world are taken in a much different context, and we become more peaceful, we become more happy within, We become less disturbed by the world around us, and we become lights into the world. We become emissaries. We carry that consciousness. We carry whatever little bit we've awakened us. We carry it with us, and in this way, we become change agents. We're change agents in the world for spiritual awakening. So I'll stop there, Madhupati. Time for a question or two. Is that appropriate?
Yeah.
Any questions somebody might have?
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
I Prabhupada.
I very much appreciate everything that you say because it's so commonsensical. Reading this verse, I know it's about touch, but it speaks about hardness and softness. And something that's been on the top of my mind of late is that I'm finding due to the process of bhakti, that my heart is softening. Before I was a devotee, I dare say my heart was like stone or steel. And now it's softening at a rate that I can't understand. I don't know who I am or how to even how to sit in the softening of my heart. It went from being a stone to a marshmallow, and even that marshmallow is melting. Can you speak to how to process these transformations that I'm experiencing as I move down my bhakti path?
Prabhupada says, become Krishna conscious and enjoy life with a thrill at every moment. So just to see, wow, whatever, when I was I never did this, but to hear about kids, when I was a kid, I would, step on ants for fun. I know, like in Texas, sometimes they have these things called armadillos, or like little reptiles, I think. And they walk on the road, and some people, they're driving their pickup truck, and they try to hit as many of them. They see one on the road, they try to run it over. You become a devotee as your heart softens. You want to make sure you don't step on an ant. Oh my gosh, there's ants there. Let me walk over there. Or there's somebody who's very mean to you. Happens every day. Somebody's cruel, unpleasant. But as a devotee, there's other spiritualists trying to do the same things, but this is our process. When we see someone's particularly upset or cruel to us, we think, it's too bad something caused them to feel so upset. Let me not be an additional cause of suffering in their life. So when you see that, you should feel grateful. Thank Krishna that your heart's softening. Ask him to continue softening your heart. Part of our process, a little bit of regret is helpful. Boy, I hurt so many people in the past. I don't want to do that again. Please, Krishna. Maybe this morning I hurt somebody, so let me not do it this afternoon. And maybe there may be people we need to apologize to. Sometimes those people, that'll really make a difference to them. Other times, those people maybe they're so hard-hearted that even if you should apologize in your heart to yourself, to them, and change the way you interact. But if you go up and you say, geez, I've taken up this spiritual life now and I feel so, they'll just step on you even more. There are people like that. It's described in, I believe it's Nectar Devotion. The pure devotee sees even a tiger as a devotee. And even not even pure, we're meant to see like that. But still, you don't embrace the tiger. Lord Chaitanya couldn't embrace the tigers. We see those paintings with he's in the forest and the tigers and everybody's embracing. Well, that was Lord Chaitanya. We don't have that kind of potency. So you don't have to embrace the tiger, but you can see, okay, this tiger, he's actually a devotee, but it's good that he's over there and I'm over here, because he's not going to see me as a devotee. He's going to see me as dinner. And I don't want to be dinner for a tiger. Does that help a little bit, Prabhu?
Yes, very much so. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yes, rejoice in that softening. And it'll come and go in waves. You may feel a tremendous surge of, as you said, softening your heart, and then something happens or whatever, the phase of the moon changes, and you realize you're kind of back where you thought you'd given that up. That's okay. Just keep going, and that will become your norm after a certain point in time. Yeah, rejoice in that experience. Wow, this process is powerful. My heart's being softened. That creepy guy at work, I'm actually being friendly to him now. That bum on the street, I'm not just seeing a bum on the street, I'm seeing with some compassion. I think tomorrow I'm going to bring him some prasadam cookies. This is another thing about being a devotee. Sometimes we think, especially important for all of you have jobs and this and that. It's not that I get up in the morning and I listen to half an hour class, or I come back at night and give it, and then the rest of the day I'm in Maya. No. We're missing the excitement of Krishna consciousness. The rest of the day, we get to apply what we heard. The rest of the next time when we get on the elevator and we touch the steel wall, we feel, oh, this is cold. Oh, this is just like it described in the Bhagavatam. This is coming from Krishna. This is the next, it's coming from God. Isn't it amazing that they have machinery to make something like this, etc. That knowledge comes from God. So there's a hand up with Amrita Nanda. And those of you that need to leave and go to work or get the kids to school or whatever, feel free to drop off. Madhupati, can I take this one more question?
Yeah, last question. Yeah.
Okay, last question. You're muted, Amrita Nanda Das Prabhu. Nice picture Prabhupada displaying there.
Amrita Prabhu, go ahead.
You're going back and forth between being muted and not being muted. So now you're muted again. Now you, yes, speak. You're unmuted. But we cannot hear you. I think we'll have to wait for that question for another day. Yeah, they're having trouble connecting. Maybe their microphone's not working or something like that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Have a blissful day and remembering Krishna and floating through the world, knowing that you have your very best friend is within your heart. And he's not only in your heart, he's in everyone else's heart. And this life is meant to awaken that understanding. And as Prabhupada said, enjoy life with a thrill at every moment. So have a thrilling day remembering Krishna. Hare Krishna.
So we have short announcement at the end. We'd like to wish everybody a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead. And we'd like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. We'd like to offer our prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev, Shri Nrsimha, Jai Nrsimha, Jai Jai Nrsimha, Praladesha, Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringam, Ugraveeram Mahavishnum
Jalantam Sarvatomukam
Nrsimham Vishnum Bhadram Nrsimha Bhagwan ki Jai, Maharaj ki Jai. We'd like to offer our humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas. Vancha
Kalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhavavya
Patitanam Pavane Vayo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Vaishnavinda ki Jai. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Ganesh Anuttama Prabhu ki Jai.
All of you, Jai.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you everybody.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Bol.
Wonderful class. Thank you.